Now let's move on to diffusion of innovations, also known as the innovation decision process or the classical diffusion model. So this practice focuses on how users of technology adapt new innovations and spread them within their social networks. By studying this process, we can better understand how innovations are adopted and integrated into society, ultimately driving progress and change. But first, let's break down the four stages of diffusion of innovations according to Dr. Everett Rogers, a prominent scholar in the field. So we have the knowledge stage. This is where mass media comes into play, spreading the word about the new innovation far and wide. Next is persuasion stage. Here, mass media still has some influence, but it's those personal conversations and recommendations within the network that really start to sway, influence, or persuade people. So moving on to the decision stage, interpersonal channels become even more critical here. It's those one-on-one discussions that help individuals make their mind about whether to jump on board or not with the innovation. And finally, the confirmation stage. Those personal connections continue to be the key. People look to their social networks for validation that they have made the right choice in adopting the innovation. Now let's dig into what influences people to adopt the innovation. So it boils down to three main factors. First, we've got the characteristics of innovations. Think about how complicated the innovation is, how well it fits with what people are already doing, and whether it offers clear advantages over the status quo. Plus, how easy is it for others to see and understand? Then there's characteristics of adopters. We know that everyone's different, their education, income level, and even their willingness to try new things. So this all play a role in whether they're likely to jump on board with something new. And finally, we've got the communication channels used. So how we spread the word about the innovation matters like a lot. Whether it's through social media, word of mouth, good old-fashioned advertising channel we choose can make a big difference in how quickly and how widely the innovation catches on. For instance, users of innovation assess it based on the following characteristics. Here are some factors. Now let's look at Rogers' cohorts of users of an innovation. According to Everett Rogers, innovators can be grouped into five categories based on their adoption behavior. We have the first division, the innovators, which comprise 2.5% of the total population. So these are the trailblazers, the risk takers who are first in line to adopt new innovations. We also have the second division, early adopters, 13.5% of the population. There are the opinion leaders, the tech enthusiasts who eagerly embrace new ideas and technologies and help spread the word to others. Then we also have the early majority, 34%. They are the population that are a bit more cautious. So they're pragmatic and like to see evidence of success before jumping on board with something new. Then we have the late majority, similar to the early majority but a bit more skeptical. They are most likely to adopt an innovation only after they see the majority of people around them doing so. We also have the last division, the laggards, 16% of the total population. So they are the traditionalists, the ones who are resistant to change and tend to stick with the tried and true methods even when the new innovations are available. For example, in the Philippine agriculture, let's cite introduction of new farming technology like the drought-resistant crop variety of rice. Let's say the Sahod Ulan 1, which was released in 2009. So at first, only a few risk-tolerant farmers, the innovators, try that out. So as they succeed, more farmers, including early adopters and the majority, join in, leading to rapid growth. Eventually, adoption peaks as it becomes widely accepted. However, over time, the adoption levels of as most farmers have already adopted the innovation, leaving only a small group of late adopters. So that explains the S curve of innovation adoption. To expound, here are the four stages based on the S curve. So we have the introduction, exponential growth, slowing growth, and the plateau. Now, let's look at the implications of communication programs in agriculture built around the diffusion of innovations model. We have two implications. First, is in the sources of messages, and second is in disparity in benefits. So for the sources of messages, in many cases, communication programs in agriculture have been designed and disseminated by multinational manufacturers and traders of agricultural products. So while these messages may benefit the intended recipients, such as resource poor farmers, there's often a discrepancy in who benefits the most. More often than not, the ones benefiting are the manufacturers and traders rather than the farmers themselves. So, for the second implication, disparity in benefits. As a result, more progressive and better off farmers tend to enjoy the benefits of these communication programs, leaving resource poor late majority and laggards in the same impoverished conditions as before. So that exacerbates existing inequalities within the agricultural sector, as those who are already well positioned to adopt new innovations reap the rewards, while those who are most in need of support continue to struggle. Now, for the last topic, I am assigned to educational communication. According to the Association of Educational Communication and Technology of 1977 and cited in Cadiz 1991, it's described as a complex integrated process involving people, procedures, ideas, devices, and organization for applying problems and devising, implementing, evaluating, and managing solutions to those problems involved in all aspects of human learning. So now let's look into the components of educational communication. First is the design. So this is basically where the meticulous planning and development of education materials happen and the development of programs to ensure alignment with learning objectives and effectiveness in delivery. Following design is the production. Here, the planned educational materials and programs are brought to fruition, whether through physical production of materials or creation of digital content, especially now that we are living in the digital era. Next is utilization. So this phase or stage focuses on the effective dissemination and integration of educational resources into formal and non-formal educational contexts, ensuring accessibility and relevance to the target audience. Lastly, we have evaluation. This last and critical step involves assessing the impact and effectiveness of the educational materials and programs, allowing for refinement, improvement based on the data analysis and feedback. As a facilitative process, the educational communication includes management and implementation of media-based learning. So in the Philippines, the Department of Education or DepEd plays a crucial role in the management of educational initiatives nationwide. So through strategic planning, DepEd coordinates the development of curriculum frameworks, the allocation of resources, and the implementation of programs to address various educational needs across different regions and communities. For example, DepEd's management efforts include organization of teacher training workshops, the distribution of textbooks and learning materials, as well as the establishment of guidelines for school operations. And for the implementation of media-based learning systems, with the advancement of technology, media-based learning systems have become increasingly important in the Philippine education landscape. One notable example is the DepEd Commons platform, an online repository of educational resources accessible to both teachers and students. Through DepEd Commons, learners can access multimedia materials, digital textbooks, and interactive modules aligned with the national curriculum. So this platform has proven particularly valuable during the pandemic COVID-19, allowing for the continuity of learning despite disruptions due to that traditional classroom settings. Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to thank everyone for listening to my report. So for those interested in further reading and learning, I'll be putting additional sources in my post in the e-classroom. And guide questions and assessment can also be found in the post-presentation material posted in our e-classroom. So just feel free to revisit these questions as you continue to explore and reflect on the content I have or we have discussed. So I think that would be all. Daghang kaayong salamat sa tanan. Thank you so much for listening.